What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Chelsea C, your fitness and nutrition coach. Hope you're having a great day. I just dropped by to chit chat with you for a minute. I'm just coming actually from one of my friends, a brunch, and it was very hot in California today. Just FYI, so it was hot, but we weathered it, had a great time, all was well. But during the brunch, so I've known this friend for like 10 years. So I know like her mom was there, family members, things like that. So I'm familiar with most of them. But you know, there's always a couple people that I don't know. So we're all chopping up. For the record, everybody was great. We had a great time. Great restaurant. And we're chopping it up, and you know what we do comes up, like, oh, what do you do? One's a police officer, one's nursing. And I don't know why one of the girls was like, are you a nutritionist? I think because I ordered like grapefruit juice or something. I don't know. I was like, oh, well, you know, I guess you could say I'm a nutritionist. You know, I help professional women, 40 plus, look great, feel better, you know, struggling with different things. And the girl was like, oh, do you do meal plans? I was like, yes, I do. In my program, I do. So, she talks about she's going to, one of the girls was like, oh, I need help. And I'm like, okay. And you know, I'm not on the clock technically. I'm at brunch. I'm living my best life. I'm trying to decompress from a long week, you know. But I'm always willing to throw out some advice, you know, when I can, because that's what I do. So she was like, so I was like, you know, she's like, oh, so can I eat this stuff here? I'm like, you can eat whatever you want here. Like, plus the food was really good there. I was like, you just can't eat, you know, a lot of like this food all the time, right? And she's like, see, that's where the problem is. I want to eat this food all the time. And I said, okay, well, you can. You're just going to continue with the results that you are having now. You know, she said she was kind of feeling bloated and had gained a little bit of weight, and believe she was near 40, almost 40, more sluggish. She has young kids. She's trying to play with them. And I was like, oh yeah, you can do that. But you're just going to continue to have the same results. And then, you know, people are trying to be like, oh, but it's true, right? I said, she's like, yeah, you know, I either, you know, don't eat or I binge eat, right? Like, makes sense. Like, that's not, I've heard that before, you know. And I just said, well, you know, do you really want to change? And she was like, yeah, I want to change. I said, well, if you want to change, something has to change, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. You know, I was just like, I was just being real, because this is what I do. This is how you know, you have to be willing to make that change, you know. And she was like, I get that, you know. And so I just wanted to come on and share that with you, because that's a prime example of what I hear a lot, whether it's when I go out randomly or with family, friends. You know, it's like, I have this issue, I want to change. And this could be anything, right? We're talking about health, fitness, losing weight, feeling better, living your best life and being healthy. But this could be anything, right? Work, a spouse, kids, money, school, a plethora of things. Like, when you want something to change, you have to change. And I think sometimes we think something outside of us has to change, right? That's where, you know, we won't go today on quick fixes and stuff, right? But it's like, you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing, she has to be willing to say, okay, I can't eat like this every day if I want to be healthier, right? But it starts here. The change starts here. We keep thinking there's an outside entity that's going to change me. But in reality, that's not true. If you don't do the work, nothing on the outside is going to stick, right? You could do a juice fast for 10 days, but then when you eat, you'll gain it back. You can do, I don't know. What are people doing? I don't know, all kind of things. Remember HG1, that hormone for pregnancy people, and they have you eat like 500 calories a day? Yeah, if you only ate 500 calories a day, you lose weight, but you're also going to feel horrible, and you're going to have some bad side effects. So anyway, if this resonates, take some time to think about, do you really want change, and are you willing to do the hard things to change? Because that's where lasting change happens. And if it doesn't resonate, then, we just had a quick chit chat. Also, what also happened, I got another story. Like these things just keep happening when I go out. That's why I stay inside the house. No. But also something that, it's a question I want you to answer in the comments, if you would. I'd greatly appreciate it. Have you ever been trying to eat better or eating better, and you go out with your friends, right, to a brunch, and then you start eating well, and then they kind of give you a hard time? Because that's exactly what happened to me. And I understand that this is something that when you are trying to change or wanting to change, you go through your daily things. Oh, I go with my girls to happy hour. On the weekends, we do brunch. I'm going to have to stop doing that. I can't have my 10 drinks. No judgment. Okay. But I do understand, because today was a prime example. I ordered some grapefruit juice. I think they were fine with that. Some people had mimosas. Sorry, I'm outside and things are flying around inside, but my window's rolled down. So anyway, where was I? Oh, okay. So I had some grapefruit juice. They weren't chirping. Everybody had different stuff. But then I ordered a bowl of fruit, right? That wasn't the only thing I ordered. But they were like, "You're just eating a bowl of fruit? Oh yeah, you are healthy." And, giving me a hard time. I'm like, it's 80 degrees out here. Who doesn't want a fresh bowl of fruit? I don't know. That's what I wanted, and I said, yeah, I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna also have some other things too, I'm gonna have some. And so I end up getting some toast with some avocados, and then a little bit of hash browns, and something else, just like a couple sides. It was hot. I didn't want to eat a bunch of stuff, but they were giving me kind of a hard time. Oh, you're eating that, you're still gonna be, and I get it a lot, so I'm used to it. But I could see how it could affect you, and because we all want to be accepted, right? We don't want to be the odd man out. We don't want them to think that, oh, you think you're too good to eat, ribs and stuff like that. But also, today I was on chill mode, so I said, look, this is just what I'm eating. If I wasn't on chill mode, I could have also said, I'm not asking you what you're eating. That thing dripped in sauce and honey and carb loaded, and then you're wondering why you can't lose weight. I could have went that way, but I didn't. But because what's more important is that I'm confident in myself. And as I'm speaking to my 40 and over crew, especially my ladies, as we get older, we're getting more confident in our choices, right? So if you don't like that choice, I'm not making you eat this, right? I'm not saying everybody having fruit, that's all we eat, But I think as we get older, this is a great way that as we step into these 40s and 50s and gain that sense of, this is who I am, and that's fine. If you don't want to do something, this is what I'm doing. This is also a great testament to that. And I think it just goes to show, like, when you are on this journey of weight loss, feeling better, putting your health first, you're going to learn a lot of things. It's not just losing weight. It's going to, how do I stand up to people? How do I say things, in a way that's, like, this is who I am. And if you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but just standing firm in who you are and not backing down and just eating the pancakes and the brioche French toast, which nothing's wrong with that. And I love those things, but that's not what I wanted today. And then at the end, to show that it doesn't matter what you do, people are always going to have something to say. And that's why I just take it with a grain of salt. And I tell my clients, I'm like, look, if they care about you and they're your friends, they'll still talk to you. If they don't, then they weren't real friends because you didn't eat the food they wanted. So at the end, it was my friend's birthday, so they bring out a cake. It's a really light cake. Yes, a really light cake, spongy, sort of like a strawberry shortcake bread cake. So we all have a piece, whoever wanted some. And they was like, does anybody want some more? And I was like, yeah, give me a little thin little slice. They're like, oh, you getting another piece? And, okay, you just said that I wasn't eating enough because I was having some bowl of fruit. Now that I'm having another piece of cake. I'm not the nutritionist for you or whatever, because the way that I coach, I teach you can have things in moderation. And she did ask me, when's the last time you had some cake? I don't know. It's been a while, you know. But when I wanted it, I had it, but it's not an everyday thing. And so it just proves my point that it doesn't matter what you do. People are always going to have something to say and just kind of, you know, go back and forth, especially in the black community. But I think this is just a culture, especially in the American culture. This is how it is, right? If you don't eat this thing, you're being disrespectful or you're not being part of the club. And you just have to learn to stand alone, because your health, your wellness, your happiness is worth more than someone saying something. So anywho, that is what happened today. I am tired. I'm going to go lay down, let that cake digest. And anyway, would love to hear some comments. Stand firm. You got this. I'm here. I might drop in this one some inflaming and non-inflaming foods. I want to start sending you all some things to help you with everything, but I just want to say, stay strong. This is a journey. Anything worth having is worth working for. Okay, so until next time, take care of yourself. We'll talk to you soon.